Evening at the Movies is a proud member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Other shows in the network include Mass Debaters, The Sip List, Crushgasm, Love is Black, Men Are the Prize, Crime Rewind, and Literature Reapers. You can find out all about our shows and more at idnmtrpodcastnetwork.com. Happy listening. You are now entering the world of a movie review. A world full of drama, joy, ridicule, movie spoilers, unpopular opinions, and adult humor for as far as the eye can see. Welcome to An Evening at the Movies.
Safe. Just in time. Everything is public, and we are good to go. And I didn't even have to be reminded by my co-host. But
good, because I was thinking about it while the stuff was playing.
Yeah, I need to figure out a better... Well, no, why can't I just do it on my damn phone instead of having to click back and forth between the tabs?
You can.
I literally just thought about that as I came back and just made that comment. Because that would be so much easier than freaking clicking back, because I haven't gotten all the way there yet. And the first thing is coming to an end. But I digress. But welcome everybody back to your favorite movie-based podcast. This is An Evening at the Movies. I am your super happy to be here co-host. I actually got it right for once. But co-host Casey, and I am incredibly happy to be here for a very valid reason why I'm happy to be here. But I will get to that in a minute, because we cannot get to why we're here until we introduce everybody to the mysterious voice that you saw or heard in the background and saw on the other side of the screen to that side. So welcome back, co-host.
Thanks. If my voice is mysterious to anyone, where have you guys been? But if this is your first time, welcome.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess Casey's probably going to say what we're here to celebrate, but happy
Damn right
what
I
we're
am.
celebrating month. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm glad we're getting this done. I'm having surgery tomorrow, so maybe a surgery, maybe just a biopsy. Who knows? It's a crapshoot. I just go in and they do what they do.
At the end of the day, we are getting to be one step closer to erasing the bad juju that Chancey and I put on you.
Yep.
8 months ago, almost to the day.
Yep. It's been
That's a long motherfucking recovery.
It was a long time to be in pain. That is for sure.
No, and you've literally been in pain almost since
February.
The day before the Super Bowl.
Well, the day of the Super Bowl, but yeah. Since Super Bowl Sunday, that's when I got hurt.
Either way, I mean, day before, day of the Super Bowl was like the week.
Second week of February.
I was gonna say it was literally like 2 days after our 3rd anniversary episode.
Yeah.
Because you were chiming in, I believe,
from the hotel.
From the hotel that day.
From Miami, because we went to Miami the night before. That's what it was. I remember now.
Yeah.
So, I hopped in from Miami, but
Miami was the last place that saw you with 2 healthy ankles.
Y'all cursed me, and I'm still salty about it, but hopefully this next surgery is one more step to getting better.
At the end of the day, you opened the door wide open for me to make a smart-ass comment in the group chat this morning, and I took the high road and said, no, I am not going to do that, and I'm going to be the bigger man and not continue to harp on the freaking bad juju.
Okay, well, thanks. Oh, and I know this isn't what we're here to talk about, but I've got my Beetlejuice shirt on. Never trust the living.
I almost put my Beetlejuice shirt on, but in honor of you and what next month is, I put my...
I can't tell who... Oh, nice.
Halloween 2.
Nice.
So...
I'll save my Halloween shirts for next month.
Don't slide into my DMs about me jumping off the Freddy bandwagon, because I'm not.
It's okay to be on more than one bandwagon. I'm not. Yeah. Besides, you're on the right side today, so I'm not going to say anything.
Well, I mean, at the end of the episode,
Team Michael.
there may be some information about what team I'm really on
Oh.
when I make a special announcement at the end of the episode, but you
Oh,
know,
but I did put up my little shining poster back here, but my head is blocking it, but y'all can see it right there. So,
there's nothing wrong with The Shining.
no, I love it. Speaking of that,
Definitely speaking of that, it is a very special month here at An Evening at the Movies, and for those of you who have been here since the beginning, Brandy,
hi
and
Brandy.
anybody else who may or may not have been here from the beginning, but we appreciate everybody, whether you are Johnny Come Lately or an OG. But we are here because it is Stephen King Birthday Bonanza 4.
Bum, ba-da-da. Happy
Um,
Stephen King birthday month, Casey.
Happy Stephen King Birthday Month, co-host.
Woo!
I am excited that Uncle Stevie is turning 77 years old in 3 weeks. And with that said, we've got a lot of great stuff planned for our amazing listeners this month. Um, Starting with a very busy week this week. Um, we've got everybody's favorite, well, Amanda's favorite piece of sexual chocolate will be here for not one, but two live episodes this week.
Howdy,
So tune in Thursday morning and Friday morning for Harvandre himself will be back, and we will be discussing Christine and Firestarter. Sometime in the next week or two, Amanda and I will be discussing Cat's Eye, and then on top of all of that, we will round out Stephen King Birthday Bonanza Month with a special crossover episode with Literature Reapers. And Shanna, everybody's favorite, wacky and zany Reaper, has picked our book for us to read because Shanna is fairly new to the Stephen King world, and she had a book that she wants to read. Ironically, she picked the biggest goddamn book in the freaking library.
No,
But
it is.
well, it may not be the biggest, but it's. Oh, hey, I just lost my co host. Yay for me! I'm all alone talking about my intro, but I will finish my statement that it is. It may not be the. I was just saying while you were
Sorry about
mysteriously
that.
not co-host, but it may not be the biggest, legitimately page count wise, but it's definitely top 5.
Yeah, I have to say I've never read The Stand. I watched the miniseries once, like a long time ago. I started the reboot and I didn't like it, so I never finished it. I trust you guys, but I'm going to be honest up front. I'm not looking forward to reading this book. I'm hoping that it proves me wrong. Um, but almost 1,000 pages, and also a topic that's kind of like meh to me. Like post-apocalyptic stuff is not really my jam. But Shanna chose it. I respect the choice. I'm going to read it and hopefully I like it. And I slap myself for not having read it sooner.
I honestly, and I'm not trying to spoil the episode by any stretch of the imagination because we'll get into it when the episode drops at the end of the month. But there's definitely a few parts that might drag a little bit, but for the most part, it actually really is a fairly quick read. So,
Okay, cool.
and post-apocalyptic, yes, but it kind of, sort of, in a weird around the barn and back again way, does deal with the subject matter that we all currently, well, not currently, knock on wood, but recently we in society all dealt
Yeah.
with COVID and pandemics and all of that nature. So
And I'm hoping that reading it post COVID will give me better insight or make me relate. I don't want to say enjoy it more, but maybe that's the word I'm looking for. It'll be
okay,
more relatable, I guess is what
there,
I'm trying to say.
there's definitely no enjoyment to that story at all
Right.
because of the subject matter, and I think that's what makes it that much more creepy and scary. But on that note, I will put a pin in that discussion and let Amanda get her copy of the book and check it out and read it and hopefully develop some solid opinions to bring to the table when next we convene
Yeah.
for our crossover episode where we will discuss the book. And then we will also be discussing the star studded original, not that remake hot garbage miniseries. Um,
If it's not Rob Lowe, it's the wrong Lowe.
I'm, I mean,
I'm
again,
stupid.
not to spoil that episode though. And at the end of the day, leave it to either Amanda or Shanna to make that comment.
Yeah, I
I'm
should
really
have
not
saved that. That was
surprised.
gold.
That was, but that cast really is like an all-star cast that they got for that miniseries.
Yeah,
So
for
we'll
real.
get into all of that when we discuss the miniseries. But definitely a lot to look forward to. But we're not here to discuss Christine or Firestarter or Cat's Eye or The Stand. We've got an even bigger kickoff planned for our amazing listeners today.
Yes.
What are
Can
we what are we kicking off the month with, co-host?
um well, before I say that, I want to say one quick thing, just a
Okay.
throwback to a movie that we covered fairly recently. I mean, it's been this year. For those that don't know, it was the 15th anniversary of Coraline. They just re-released it in the theaters. Abby was telling me she went and saw it in 3D. Um, and it was in the top 5 theater or top 5 movies. So it made a lot of money and was competing with new releases. So shout out to Coraline, and I'm glad people went to watch it, and
Definitely
maybe
very
more
much.
people will start, liking it. People that haven't seen it or whatever. It's dark, and it's stop motion, but I, yeah, I mean Casey watched it for the first time this year, so
Yeah. No, I did, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised. You can go
yeah,
back and everybody can find. Yep, it's not um, on the YouTube channel because we weren't doing
yeah,
video at the time, but you can go back and find it wherever you get your podcast listening fix. And it was Abby's debut on
hmm
the episode. Um, I do believe Kevin was there for
Kevin
that
was there.
episode. So, and everybody loves Kevin. We love Kevin.
Kevin,
Kevin. Um, so Kevin was one of the vast number of people who requested that movie.
yeah, for
So
sure. I'll have to
definitely.
message him and see if he went to see it for the re-release. But
Oh,
I,
I'm sure
I
he did.
it's crazy because I never even heard about it. I only knew about it because Abby told me last weekend, and then I got like a news article saying that it was in like the top 5 within new releases too, and I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. So anyway, just wanted to shout
I
that out for Coraline.
It makes sense though because I'm seeing a lot of like the DVD, at least at my least favorite shopping establishment in Aberdeen,
Corporate
according to
conglomerate.
Jennifer Higgins, is Walmart has the 4K release on
Oh, nice.
DVD. I recently bought the book from Walmart as well. So they've got all kinds of Coraline merch out, at
Yeah,
least in my Walmart. So
Abby has the doll. She got it at Target. It's pretty cool.
definitely, if you are I don't condone going shopping at the Walmart. Fuck corporate America. But if you are a fan and love collectibles and things of that nature, I highly recommend you go pick some up.
Yeah.
because Coraline is a great fucking movie.
It is very choice. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. I will never not take an opportunity to say that.
No, and that's really where that lead into my statement kind of comes from whenever I do that because
Yeah.
it's always about Ferris Bueller is such a great fucking movie, and
Yeah.
I don't.
Sorry, Dre, but you're
Yeah, I
wrong.
was gonna say if Dre is watching, we just lost Dre.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, but we are here
Oh,
to talk about a Stephen King movie, and I'm excited. This is a newer movie, and it was really enjoyable. We are here to talk about Doctor Sleep, which, for those that don't know, it's the follow up to The Shining. And I know that
yeah,
we'll talk about this, but the most interesting thing about this movie for me is the job that they had to do because the book and the Kubrick movie are extremely different. Extremely different. And
literally in my review, it is literally like a three-prong review.
yeah,
Like the job that Mike Flanagan does with it. Not
yeah,
only does he stay faithful to the book, but he
for the
pays
most part.
for the most obviously anybody who has reads books and watches movies knows that books and movies are not 100% faithful.
Well, yeah,
But as much as can be possible, he's really faithful to book,
yeah,
um, as well as he pays tribute to King's book, The Shining,
right,
as well as pays tribute to Kubrick's version of
right,
The Shining as well. So to do all of that and create
yeah.
a great movie on top of it, that's a lot of work. And I mean, I'm sure there's other directors out there that could do just as good of a job or better. But
But
I
Mike
mean, look,
Flanagan's familiar with King and all, so I think that was a good
he's
choice for.
he's very familiar with King, and he's done some actually incredible adaptations of King's work lately.
Yeah,
Um, Even to the same extent, like I will sing the praises of his interpretation of Gerald's Game. Like there's no tomorrow, and
yeah,
that was a book. Once I read it out and then heard that they were doing a movie, I was like, I don't know how the hell they're gonna freaking do that
mm,
and pull it off. And I, honest to God, spoiler alert for the future episode where we discuss Gerald's Game, but I think Flanagan pulled off that movie as good, if not better, than
hmm.
anybody could have.
I haven't read the book, but I saw the movie and I thought it was great. So, but
No,
I
the
just,
fucking book makes it that subject matter 150 times more creepy.
ooh, I can imagine. I I was just trying to think, when we were talking about doing this, I'm sure that there are, and if anybody's watching and wants to comment, or if I was just thinking, I cannot think of another situation like this where you're making a sequel, and obviously King wrote the book as a direct sequel to his book The Shining, but then you've got this movie in the middle that is like completely off the rails. And so when you're doing this sequel movie, you have to find a way to honor both things. It's so freaking
Mhm.
unique, and we'll talk about it, but they did a great job.
Oh,
So,
we're definitely going to talk about it because there is 100% a whole lot of um, conflicting opinions about Kubrick's movie, as well as whether or not he stays faithful to the book or not. And
well, we
to
know he
me,
doesn't.
well, no, that's the whole point.
I don't
Is
think that's really a question.
if you've seen the movie and you've read the book, there
Yeah,
there's key elements that have to be there for it to be an adaptation that are there. But other than that,
he took a
he
lot of
gave
liberties.
he yeah, and again, that's something we'll discuss. And um, also, if you want more detail on some of those interpretations, you absolutely 100% can go back to last year. Hi, Pearl, with your big ass furry tail in my freaking
Yeah.
face.
The fluff ball has entered the chat.
But also last year, you can go back and check out our episode of one of the episodes we did from Stephen King Birthday Bonanza 3, where Shanna came on and we discuss The Shining, as well as we welcome back the Podfather himself to the podcasting world. And
Yep.
Tim Arnold, Tim Arnold joined us for the first time in a long time on the podcast world. So that was a great episode. I highly recommend you check that out as well. But I think we've fooled around long enough.
Yep.
Are we ready to go back to the Overlook?
We are ready as we can be. Oh my God,
Again,
Pearl.
Pearl!
Pearl, I can't.
Damn it!
I can't see what I'm doing. Oh,
She's,
she
she's
just
gonna
plopped
step
down
on
on the.
she's gonna step on the keyboard and freaking disconnect you again.
Well, she just plopped down in front of me on the desk, and now I can't. Oh, and yeah, she's about to step on the keyboard. All right, Pearl, I'm sorry. You are not good for my podcast recording shenanigans. This is why I didn't let you. Yeah, but she's meowing at the door, and she's so precious. Okay, say bye. Bye, Pearl.
She's go wake up Dad.
Yeah. No, his door's closed. I let him. He deserves sleep.
I mean, he drove back and forth from Texas to Oklahoma in a 24-hour period yesterday
Yep.
and Saturday.
All right.
So, before we get into everything, November 8th, 2019, Dr. Sleep came into the world. Again, directed by Mike Flanagan. Released by Warner Brothers Pictures, had a $45 to $55 million budget. And screw you people with your damn box office numbers. Only made $72.4 million at the box office. That is hot garbage statistics. It really is. That movie deserves to make
yeah, that's
so much
crazy. I mean, we
more.
saw it in the theater, so.
I saw it in the theater, and I'll get into that anecdote during our discussion as well. But for those of you who have not seen, okay, so again, I know we say this every time we get to this point, but this is definitely an episode that if you have not seen Doctor Sleep, um, you need to put a pin in this live recording. We
Yeah.
appreciate you guys watching, and we love you. Definitely, please 100% come back afterwards, though. But you need to go watch this before you listen to us
Yeah.
talk about it, because spoiler alerts left and right
Yeah.
throughout. I mean, after once we get to Amanda's 90-second beat the clock challenge here in a second, then we cannot be held responsible for spoiling the movie for you. So, as of literally just the last couple of days, if you need to watch it, you can find it on the Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody's favorite game time.
Oh boy.
I have a tomato meter and I have a audience meter.
Okay.
Which one would you like to guess first?
Um, I need to start reminding myself to think about this before we do this. I always kind of forget about it until we start talking. Um, okay. Let's start with the audience score. Um,
Okay.
so I had a thought for that, but now that you said the box office, it's making me wonder because I have heard nothing but good things about this. So I was going to go high with the audience score, like 85%. But oh, I'm close. Yes.
So close.
Okay, what is the actual audience score?
On 5,000 plus reviews, the audience gave it a 89%.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
So the
So
people
I
that
was,
saw the movie loved the movie. There just
yeah.
wasn't
Okay.
a lot of people that went and saw the movie.
At first, anyway. I guess. Okay. All
I
right.
think I think this movie has, for lack of a better term, thrived more in the
Yeah.
DVD sale and streaming world than it has or than it did at the box office.
That's crazy. I would have thought it did really well at the box office, but what do I know?
I was chomping at the bit to go, and okay, Band-Aid off, but I
Yeah.
went not opening weekend, but literally like a Tuesday or a Wednesday
Mm.
after it opened, and I was the only person in the theater
Oh, wow.
to see it the night that I went. So that's the only time in my life I've ever solo seen a movie on the big screen.
Oh my gosh. Well, so we saw it opening weekend and the theater was full. So, that was good. And I
Again,
will
though,
say George has never
compared
what?
compared to you, I mean, you guys live in
Well, true,
Dallas,
true.
Fort Worth. I technically live in Aberdeen, where yeah, you may not have as many
But
King
you didn't have
fans.
a movie theater, right? Didn't you have to go to Seattle?
No, we still had the movie theater at the time.
Oh, okay, okay,
It
okay.
was literally like a year later that the theater got condemned,
Bummer.
or the mall got condemned,
Yeah.
and the theater therefore with it.
Well, George had never seen The Shining, and I tried to get him to watch it, and he's seen clips of it because I watch it a lot, but it's just not his jam. But he
Sure.
went with me to see Doctor Sleep just because I wanted him to, and he, obviously it makes more sense if you have seen and or read The Shining, but
Mhm.
he hadn't, and I briefed him on the basic plot points, but he still really enjoyed this movie, even though he hadn't watched The Shining, and I thought that was interesting to talk to somebody who hasn't seen Kubrick's version and see how, and not having read the books either, to see what they thought of this movie with no
Mhm.
context. I mean, other than the brief context I gave him, and he really liked it. So
Well, because that's the thing. Like George is not a huge horror fan,
no, he's not at all.
and he's definitely 100% not a huge King fan as well.
Right.
So to have an outsider from outside of that fandom come in and sit down and thoroughly say that they enjoyed the movie says a lot.
Yeah, it's a good testament to the directing and obviously the writing. I mean, it makes a lot more I will say, even though he's never seen The Shining, that's one of his favorite parts in Ready Player One. I was like, yeah, it's fucking epic. But anyway, okay, tomato meter. This one is hard for me because I didn't really see a lot of reviews, but it really just depends on who it is, because I feel like some of these people are gonna, again, like we've said and we'll talk about, this movie was dealt an impossible hand, and I think they pulled it off almost seamlessly. But critics can be assholes, so you never know how they're gonna take it. Let's go with like 73, 70, 74. Okay. Am I high or low?
You're 5% off to the low.
Oh, okay.
70,
So 79.
79%.
Okay. That's not
So
terrible.
not terrible.
I don't think it's
I
accurate, but it's not
I
terrible.
100% don't think it's accurate.
Yeah.
Um, I think I won't necessarily say that the audience meter is even. I mean, I'm in that window where 85 or higher, I'm fine with that
Yeah.
score. So I think the audience got it right. The critics may have been a smidge off,
Yeah.
but we've also talked about a lot of movies lately where it's like, one way or the other, you look at either the tomato meter or the audience score, and it's like, what the fuck are you people watching? This is a great freaking movie, and how in the hell are you coming up with this damn score? Because this movie is not a 60% or whatever,
Right.
you know, just pulling a number out of my ass.
And I feel
But
like for most people that were going to watch this movie, if you saw, I can't remember the trailers, but if you saw, kind of like with George, if you saw the trailers with no context, he was like, yeah, that movie looks good. But you
Mhm.
wouldn't know that it's really more about, it's like a supernatural or like magic, however
Mhm.
you want to talk about it. Because so for some people that could be a turnoff if you don't like that, but I gotta think the majority of the people that went and saw this had already seen The Shining, already knew what the shine was, how it worked, all of that, so they should have known. The True Knot is a different spin, and I really like it, and we'll talk about that obviously, but, you know, you had to have known going into this that it was going to be a lot of supernatural,
Oh,
elements and
100%.
psychic elements and stuff like that. So that it does surprise me that the audience or that the tomato meter is that low, only because although I guess that maybe they're trying to be objective. Who knows? Who cares? I never listen to critics. We should be
Well, and
critics.
again, are these critics part of the Stephen King fandom, or are they literally just going off of their feelings of this movie based off of their feelings for the Kubrick movie? Where, and I'm not saying they're necessarily wrong, but if you're not a hardcore book fan like myself and my co-host,
Yeah,
because The Shining is a great, great, amazing fucking book.
yeah,
But if you're coming into this just off of a love for Kubrick's version, Kubrick's movie, if you don't put it side by side with the book, is a great movie.
right.
But as far as adaptations go, eh.
Shit. Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, I was gonna say we'll get into the plot summary and then start talking about some of this stuff because yeah,
yeah,
it's just craziness. So, all right, I'll do my little beat the clock thing. Although most
okay.
people should probably know, but
I'm getting my stopwatch ready for you.
you don't need it. This is going to take like 15 seconds.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's freaking a whole. I mean, it's a good movie for a very brief
Right.
umbrella. Okay, ready? Go.
All right. Struggling with alcoholism, Dan Torrance remains traumatized by the sinister events that occurred at the Overlook Hotel when he was a child. His hope for a peaceful existence soon becomes shattered when he meets Abra, a teen who shares his extrasensory gift of the shine. Together, they form an unlikely alliance to battle the True Knot, a cult whose members try to feed off the shine of innocence to become immortal. See?
21 seconds,
Yeah.
give or take a few, because you started like a second and a half after I had hit the start button. So good job, co-host.
Thanks.
So really quickly before we get into the discussion, um, would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather act for Mike Flanagan or act for Stanley Kubrick?
Flanagan, 100%.
I
After hearing Shelley Duvall's story, I wouldn't go within a 10-foot radius, maybe 10-mile radius of Stanley Kubrick.
definitely 100%, and rest in peace, Shelley Duvall as well.
And rest in peace, Stanley Kubrick. But I mean,
Well,
he
yeah.
made great films, except for Eyes Wide Shut. But, you know, yeah, I don't want to be tortured like she was.
Oh hell no. Would you rather be a Soul Sucker True Knot member or have the shine?
Ooh. I mean, you can't really say you'd want to be a true knot person because they're evil. Like, but they're also immortal. But I don't want the shine. So if those were my only two life choices, I'm sorry, I'd have to pick the true knot. I don't want the shine. I've seen too much.
True. Um, would you rather go camping in the Rockies,
No.
or are you sure? Because here comes the other option: stay at the Overlook.
I'd stay at the Overlook. If I don't shine, I should be good, right?
And you stay out of whichever room we're going with for this episode, but 237,
Well,
217.
it's 237 for the movie. So but again,
um,
that's just one of the things where it was like a Sophie's choice. Like, what do you do? Do you go
r-
with the book 217 or do you go with the movie 237? Like, it just, I
yeah,
want to be in the room where these decisions were made. I want to be in the room where it happens. The room where it happens. The
Yeah.
room where it happens. Sorry. Because
All
how
right.
do they make these choices? Okay, sorry.
Well, no, because that's the point. Is like, okay, obviously, if they go with 217, they're gonna piss off the people who are just coming in as fans of the movie
Right.
because, like, no, damn it, it was 237. But
Yeah.
then you go with 237, and you're gonna piss off the hardcore King fans that are like, no, it was room 217, and fuck you and all of your freaking yeah.
I
So
I gotta think for that one, it was probably way easier to just go with 237 because the King fans were already pissed off by it in the first movie
yeah,
and they already knew. So if
yeah,
you read the book, you already knew that's what they did, and it's honestly just a room number. What difference does it really make?
exactly. And last but not least, final would you rather drink whiskey with Danny Torrance or interpret this however you want to
Uh oh.
suck souls with Rose the Hat?
Ugh. I feel like I have to choose to be on the good side, even though I hate whiskey. Um, I already
This-
chose the True Knot, so I'll just choose hanging with Rose. She's one of my favorite horror villains ever.
yeah, she. We're definitely gonna 100% gonna get into this because
Yeah, because I have thoughts about her in the movie compared to the book. So
well, and even with the scene taken out of the equation, um, Amanda knows which scene I'm talking about, and we'll get to that definitely
yeah,
before this episode's over too. But take that scene, the one scene, out of the equation, and she's still a amazingly awesome fucking villain.
yeah.
Like if I feel like we did do a simplest episode on movie villains,
Oh, we did, and we did one on female movie villains too.
and I believe one or both of us had Rose the Hat on our list.
Yeah. She did not make my top 5 because what's funny is when we said we were doing this episode, I went back and found my list because I
Mhm.
think it was this year, so it was in the book. Yeah, because we did it for Women's History Month. Um,
Yeah,
I did choose a Rose, but I chose Rose from Get Out. But Rose the Hat was on my list, like, but I can't remember if she made your top 5, but we definitely talked about her. Yes.
I believe she did. So definitely get out, Rose. Yeah.
Yeah.
No teacups with magical spoons for Dre.
Yes.
So, normally I would kick off our discussion with likes and dislikes, but I mean, I've got a couple of topics that
Okay.
um, I feel like we can probably um, get to. Well, really quickly, for those who may not know and may not have heeded to our warning, um, what would be your definition of what it means to shine?
I mean, to me, it's, basically psychic abilities. It's
Mhm.
the ability to see things that might happen or things that have already happened. And it's just, I mean, it's crazy to me because, yeah, you think like it's not just psychic because you're seeing in a physical nature things that have happened. Like in The Shining, you're seeing crap, my screen's frozen again. You're seeing the blood. You're seeing I mean, in the book, he describes in the presidential suite how he's seeing the flecks of brain matter on the wall from where people were shot. Like, that's very specific. And, like, you know, I don't know. It just, I would not like it because it also, you're feeling the emotions too. Like, not just your
Yeah,
emotions from reacting to what you saw, but the emotions of it's almost like they feel the emotions of the people that are whatever they're viewing, they're like connecting with those people and their emotions too.
yeah. Well, and the power behind the shine and everything that's happened to Danny in his lifetime from the time he was 5 years old till um, ultimately the end of the movie. Um, not going to spoil that just yet, but we'll
Mm.
get to that as well. Um, like Amanda said in her plot description, you know, especially the beginning of this movie. Well, throughout the entire movie, it has a very hardcore. Um, it addresses alcoholism like there's no tomorrow, and knowing what Danny's gone through in his lifetime, it's very easy to see why he's battling this
Yeah.
addiction because not only has he been through the whole thing with his dad back in 1980, but you know he's had to deal with the ramifications from that, and now all of a sudden it's all coming back around full circle again. In 2019, almost 40 years later. So you know it's a
Um,
lot to have to deal with for anybody, let
yeah,
alone somebody
for
who has to
real.
worry about visions popping up in his head and you know twins in blue dresses popping up at the end of a hall and
Twins that aren't twins.
yeah,
Ugh. Anyway.
or blood flowing out of an elevator or fire hoses that turn into snakes and
Yes. I wish they would have
everything that
included that in the
encompasses.
movie. Oh my god. I know we can't go back and
Yeah,
talk about that again, but man, that scene in the book scared the shit out of me. Like I was holding my breath the entire time, picturing it in my head. I don't understand why they didn't include that because it was so scary. But whatever.
yeah. So, one little brief little joke before we move on. Though, when you read The Shining, do you make sure that there's room in the freezer?
Always. I never start rereading The Shining without making sure there's plenty of room in the freezer.
Shout out to Matt LeBlanc for that amazing joke that he
That was a
delivered
good
during
one.
Friends.
I forgot that I made a note about this, but I'm glad that we talked about it a second ago. So I was just going to throw this in real quick. Although they
Mhm.
did do the room 237 as 237, they did shout out the book because that one hospice patient, that first guy, his
Mhm.
room number was 217.
Yes.
So
Again, one of
you
the
have to pay
reasons
attention when
why
it's there.
I feel well, definitely you have to be watching and paying attention to the details. But this is again one of those reasons why I definitely have all kinds of mad love for Mike Flanagan though,
Yeah.
because he could have easily just thrown a random number up on the fucking door,
Yeah.
but he took the time to specifically say, you know what, Stephen King fans, I know you guys may feel slighted by that detail of switching, and because I've talked to enough people that like fuck 237, fuck 237,
Yeah.
but bam, I'm gonna give you this little shout out and pat on the back. Here's your 217. Damn it!
Yeah.
It
I
may
don't
not
know, Mike.
necessarily be on
Maybe.
the room, but it's
Yeah.
there. So thank you, Mike Flanagan, for that.
And he did that a lot. I mean, obviously the imagery with the
Mhm.
overlook, we knew we were going to get that because we had to. Even in the book, the overlook burns down. But
Yeah,
um like the Dr. John, his office when he's interviewing Danny, it looks just like Ullman's office and it's a
yeah,
job interview just like Jack. So I thought that was a really good nod to the movie. Um they did a lot with imagery to help with that other than just the big
100%.
overlook scene.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, too. I mean, for those people who know, um, there's definitely a stark difference between the Overlook in 1980 and the Overlook in 1997
Oh yeah.
because the miniseries that came out on ABC was not, or obviously was filmed at the Stanley,
Right.
where Kubrick's movie was not filmed at the Stanley. The outdoor stuff was filmed off in Podunk, middle of nowhere, Oregon, and
Yeah.
then the indoor stuff was filmed not even in the United States. So
Okay, I have a quick question. Can you tell, do we have anybody watching right now that isn't on Twitter?
it should be
Because
on Twitter.
well, but Twitter people can't comment. So that's why because this is something I can't remember if I asked you in the chat, but I don't know if you know the answer to it. And I can't remember. I should have Googled it. So I know we're going to talk about the end, but like I just said, in the original book, the Overlook explodes. It burns down. There's nothing left.
Hmm.
But obviously, so in the Doctor Sleep book, everything that happens just happens at the site, but it doesn't happen in the hotel because the hotel's not there anymore. But what I can't remember is the part where they're doing whatever they're doing to Rose and she's in the hedge maze and they've
Hmm.
got her, hypnotized or whatever. I can't remember how that part plays out in the book. And it's driving me crazy because it's like where did she go or what did she see? Because first of all, the hedge maze, wasn't in the
Wasn't
book,
in the
but
book.
also even if it all burned down. So if anybody is watching that can comment and you can remember how that was handled in the book, it's driving me crazy. Otherwise, I guess I'll just have to Google it or go reread it. Do you
Well, I mean,
remember? Because I don't remember, and I
I
haven't read
don't
the book.
remember, and after we're done recording, I may just rip the band-aid off and text him and ask him because I know good and hell well that Tim will
Oh,
know
Tim.
at the drop of a dime.
Yeah. Or I'll just get the book out and read the end. But anyway, that was driving me crazy when I watched the movie the other day because I was like, I could not remember how that played out. But that scene in the movie is fantastic. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
because the miniseries in 1997 is more along the lines of the book,
Hmm.
and the landscaping is topiary animals,
Yeah,
and
which were
then
also scary.
Kubrick is oh yeah, absolutely, and then Kubrick is more oh no, I want a hedge maze.
Yeah. There were so many scenes in that book that were just terrifying, and the hedge mazes were like when he describes like how he hears the clump of snow fall, and then he turns around and he doesn't see anything, and then he sees like the head of the animal sticking. I'd be like, I would freak the fuck out. Like how Jack stayed there, and with all of that, I mean, obviously he was under the hotel spell, but I would have been like, I am getting the oops, sorry, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and sorry about you.
I even in today's society, I don't think I could do that kind of a job
Mm-mm. I
because
would go crazy.
you also have to think too in that type of environment. Um, Technology is probably not in today's standards going to be as available to you as you would like to believe it would be.
Yeah.
So you're not going to probably have Wi-Fi and cell phone to keep you entertained, and
Right.
to be locked away in a hotel for in the middle of nowhere for what 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my idea of fun,
No
especially
thanks.
a fucking haunted ass fucking hotel that you know. Yeah, no, I will pass. Very much so. Um, okay, I can't go to that question without us getting into the likes and dislikes of the movie. So,
Okay.
um, so what do you like about the movie? And I kind of sort of know what your number one dislike of the movie is going to be, but we'll get to that after the likes.
Okay. Um, I mean, I thought obviously the score is really great. The imagery is amazing, especially because the parts in the book, and again, I can't remember exactly how they played out, but the parts where like Abra and Rose are in each other's minds, like
Hmm.
that is a very difficult thing to put on screen. And I thought that they did an amazing job with those scenes. They were so like vibrant and just aesthetic and like it, I thought they did a really, really good job of that because that is a hard thing to you can read it and you can kind of picture it, but you can't like putting it into film or whatever is just crazy.
Yeah, it is just crazy, and I will second that notion and um, go along the lines of that's probably one of those things where it's difficult to adapt the um, book to a
Sorry.
screen. No, you're fine, but I mean, I would assume even like the directors for like the Harry Potter movies, when it comes to
Yeah.
how Psycho Hoseby's author wrote the stuff and having to translate all of that to the screen, it's all not going to,
Yeah.
translate well to the words do not just pop up on the screen, you know, magically with imagery.
Yeah.
So that definitely along that line, is the same stuff with like the whole dynamic between Abra and Rose.
Yeah.
And
And yeah, I just thought those scenes where they're in each other's heads were so freaking cool. And what is her name? Is it Rebecca Ferguson? It's Ferguson. What's her
Ro-
first name?
Rosa Hat,
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, okay. So she was incredible. I thought she did such a great job. The only issue I had, and this wasn't with her because she played it, the way they told her to. I feel like in the book, she has more mystical, like almost appealing qualities. Like you see it kind of at the beginning how she draws the little girl in. But
Hmm.
for the most part, they really just played out the evil parts of her, and you didn't get as much of the like almost like like a vampire thing where they draw you in with their charm and their you know whatever. But
I actually was gonna ask you that question is at some point during the discussion was your thoughts on whether or not in a loose sense of the term, but could the True Knot be considered like a vampire cult?
yeah, that's kind of what I think. I mean, and I feel like
Because
they even referenced that at some point. Either that or I just thought of it. I thought somebody called them vampires, but maybe not.
well, then they may have, but
They're shine vampires.
yeah, well, and they're not necessarily drinking your blood per se, but they're drinking your essence.
Yeah, your fear and your um
All of
fear and
that.
pain.
So yeah, no, yeah,
And I thought they did a good job with those scenes too, like how they showed the literally them like sucking the life out of these people and how their eyes went all crazy and whatever. Like, yeah, the imagery is just great. And then I think one of my favorite scenes technically in the movie, as far as how it was acted, is the van scene with Abra and I can't remember the guy's name when Danny like takes over her, that little girl did the best job of like copying his mannerisms and like even though it's Abra, she's really Dan. And I thought like that scene was just so freaking good. That little girl did a great job. And I love when she's like, "Yeah, you're immortal, so of course it stands to reason that you wouldn't wear your seatbelt." And then it crashes the
mhm,
van, and the guy goes flying out. Like I don't
yeah.
know. I thought that scene was very, very good as far as that little girl, having Dan's mannerisms. I thought it was
The
really good.
character you are referring to is Crow Daddy.
Crow Daddy, that's right. He was cute though. Anyway,
So, but yeah, they're really it, and there's some people I recognize in this movie,
Cliff
but
Curtis, I love him. The guy who plays
yeah,
Billy. Every movie I've seen him in, I just love him. And he always has these smallish roles. And I was pissed that Billy didn't have a bigger role in this like he did in the book
yeah, no, 100%. That
because I
may
love
be
that
probably
actor.
one of my least favorite parts of
Yeah,
yeah, one of two of my least favorite
yeah.
parts of the movie.
His death
But
scene though, holy, that shocked the hell out of me. I was just like,
oh, I knew it was
kill
coming, but
yourself. Yeah, but ugh.
yeah, no, exactly, 100%. It just the imagery in this movie though is just
Yeah.
phenomenal. The acting, like the girl, uh, Kylie Curran, I believe her name is, um, incredibly young actress who I don't know how much work she'd done before this, but to
Yeah, me
have
either.
to do something on this scale and pull it off the way she did, wow,
She was fantastic.
yeah.
Especially with, like, the well, they're not nightmares, but the shines where she I love, and I guess we'll get to talking about this scene maybe in a minute, but I love how much she wants to find Bradley. Like, even though she knows he's dead, she's like, his family could have some peace or whatever, because she just keeps seeing, like, what happened to him, and I love her, like, her drive in this movie, even before they realize, like, what the true knot is and they've gotta go after Rose, that she just wants to find this little boy.
Segue.
Yeah, should we just get it over with, rip off the Band-Aid?
We may as well. Um, so the question I wrote for the discussion, um, it's a really well written part of the book. I think Flanagan took it to another level with the
Mhm.
movie. Do you think, as a viewer of the movie, that he may have gone too far with
Ugh.
the scene?
As a parent, I felt like it was a little too far. Like, I felt that child's screams in my bones. And oh my God, Jacob Tremblay should have got an Oscar for this. I know we talked about that.
And he
And
was
he had,
literally only in the movie for what,
yeah,
6 minutes?
5, 6 minutes. Yeah. And, I had seen him before. He was in Room and Wonder. So I recognized him and I knew that he was a good, like, kid actor. But when I realized who he was playing, I was like, okay, well, we're not going to get very much of him, but he's probably going to knock it out of the park. And he fucking did. And I actually read an article that was saying the other actors were like so upset by that scene. They were so upset by his acting that they were like having a hard time doing it. And I was like, I mean, that's good. That means they're human. Cause yeah, his screams were,
Yeah.
and the please don't hurt me, and just the cry. I feel like he could have toned that down a little. I really do feel like it's a very hard to watch. I was sobbing in the theater.
So I'm going to go along the same lines as Amanda. For those of you that know my personal story, you know I am not a parent, and I have the two most adorable nephews in the world.
They're pretty cute.
Um, they really are. Even if Nico doesn't want to pop on the podcast anymore and say hi, people. But oh my god, freaking Bradley's freaking screams!
Oh God.
Like legitimately, I told you before we went live today that I watched this movie twice yesterday, and oh my god, even doing almost back to back viewings like I did, you would think, okay, I know it's coming. It's going to lessen the blood.
No.
No, no, not at all. I don't care if it's been a year since I've seen it or an hour and a half since I've seen it. Oh my god, his blood curdling scream.
I don't
Oh
know
my,
how he did that.
I, very few people, as far as actors go, and I'm not trying to sound disrespectful by saying this, but very few actors can pull off screams like that level and literally have the audience feeling it, like you said,
Right.
in their bones.
Especially when they're not really in pain. Like,
Hmm.
we can go back to talking about what Kubrick did with Shelley Duvall. Well, of course she's going to be crying and hysterical after the way he tormented her. And it doesn't mean that she's not a good actress, but she
Hmm.
was really in it at that point because she had been, like, basically tortured by this guy. You
It
got
was
to
method
think,
acting at its finest.
yeah, you got to think that nobody was torturing Jacob Tremblay to get this reaction out of him. And It
Oh
was
God, no!
so
Freaking
freaking good for him to not even be experiencing any kind of pain or discomfort. Like, just
yeah.
wow.
No, I don't know. The only thing I can think of as to why that child did not get a freaking Oscar for that is there's got to be some regulation out there as to how much of a movie you have to be in to at least be considered for a supporting actor role.
Well, probably, and horror movies don't typically get Oscars.
Well, no, and yeah, I mean,
But yeah, because he would have been a guest star. I mean, and they don't really have a like he couldn't even be a supporting actor. So yeah, I see that's probably the reason. But damn,
yeah, well, and still, it goes back to the debate. I mean, some people say, yeah, Silence of the Lambs, blah blah blah. Blah. To me, Silence of the Lambs is not a horror movie.
yeah,
And
same. I
what
feel the same. But
what's the other one that got the freaking best picture?
Parasite,
Okay,
and then they call Parasite horror, and I don't think it's horror. And I
yeah,
don't really think Get Out is horror, but I can see why some like as a black person, I could see why you would think it's horror, but to me it's still like
mhm.
a thriller. But whatever, you know. There are a lot of movies that ride the line between thriller and horror and,
Yeah. Well, and the very definition of what is horror and what isn't horror is very open to interpretation. So,
I was just about to
we're
say it's open to interpretation.
Guma.
Yep.
So, do, 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 do. So that was basically the dislike that I had pegged in my head for you. That I
Which one?
figured the um, Bradley scene, the
Yeah.
Bradley death scene, and
I
if
mean,
if you're a parent and that doesn't affect you in a hardcore way, then what the hell kind of parent are you? That
yeah. I
was an
mean,
amazingly well acted scene, and not even just on Jacob Tremblay's part, but everybody else on top of it
yeah, because they had to
to
act
be
like they
in.
didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, to be in that. And you can't tell me that there wasn't parents in
Oh
that
yeah.
scene as the satellite actors,
Oh yeah.
and to have to hear those screams and go through, doing the things that they
Yeah.
had to do
To still have to keep
to make
doing
that
it.
scene work. It's like, yeah, it's like I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah, I don't either. And yeah, like I said, I mean, they were definitely affected by it, so he did a great job.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I feel like he went a little far with that scene, but I also understand that it's important to the story, but I feel like maybe they could have toned it down a little, but whatever, it is what it is. It's hard to
yeah,
watch, and watching it again, I would probably fast forward through it just because I know what happens. I don't need to see it and hear it again. Um, a couple of other dislikes I had was the hat. I feel like the hat didn't get as much of a place in the movie as it did in the book. Like, if I remember right,
no,
I know
King
that
definitely.
Danny and Abra are
King,
always seeing the hat.
yeah, King definitely makes the hat a prevalent character in the
Right.
book, where I think
Mm,
realistically in the movie, it's only really a prevalent character in that opening scene with the one little girl.
yeah, I mean, it's oh, and that when she says, "You're special, the special ones taste the best." I was like, "Ah!" But, yeah,
Creepy.
I feel like the hat should have got a little more but, again, I know time constraints and condensing the story and whatever, I
It's
get it, but
already it's already a 2.5 hour long movie
yeah,
in
it's
the
yeah.
sense of what they gave us. So,
Um, I also I do wanna say about Bradley, though,
mhm.
in, like, 2019, who's letting their kids walk home alone on a deserted road? Like, from a
Not me.
baseball game? Like, not that it's I'm not trying to, like, blame people, but, like, at the same time, that kid really shouldn't have been by himself.
Well, and this technically is middle of nowhere, Iowa, too. So,
Yeah. The other dislike I had is how they changed up the ending. I realized that a self-sacrifice and all that probably sells more tickets than how the book actually ended, but I was not a fan of Danny being killed in the movie. I understand why they did it, but it made me wonder, like, how long would Abra be able to talk to him? And then, like, and my other question was, and I can't remember if they talk about this in the book, but I know Rose mentions it when she's like, hi, handsome, how did we miss you? How did they miss Danny? How did they never find Danny? I mean, do we think it's because he was bathed in alcohol for so long? But then 8 years goes by and he's sober.
No,
So it's like, how did they never find him? But whatever.
exactly. And that actually was one of my last
Oh,
two
sorry.
discussions. No, 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 you're fine. That actually was going to be my next one. Discussion points I was going to bring up was your thoughts to the difference between the happily ever after 15 years of sobriety ending that you get in the book compared to the self-sacrifice that Danny
Yeah.
makes when he gives himself over to the Overlook
Yeah.
in order to save Abra.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for the movie, it makes sense. And it's a good, climactic ending. And then, she still gets to talk to him. But it was a bummer. I was like, man,
I am of the same opinion as you are. I like the happily ever after ending at the same time, but I also, as far as the self-sacrifice ending goes, it can, as far as on screen goes, can be more of a
it's good cinema.
it. Yeah, I was trying to find the right adjective to describe it, but probably more of a fulfilling ending if
Yeah.
Danny sacrifices himself to save her. So definitely 100%. So we definitely have some. I do want to say thank you to Raymond G. Newsom, Verna, Dan, Jessica, Barnwell, and Brandy for your likes and hearts that you sent so far this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying. Um,
Yay.
so the last discussion topic I have. Um, do you feel King and Flanagan effectively convey their themes of redemption and overcoming addiction?
I mean, I think so. I understand for time constraints you can't show as much, but
Mm.
it you kind of Danny becomes sober like that. Like, and it doesn't work that way in real life. And I know they just fast forward 8 years, and I like where he ends up and what, although I thought it was weird that he was still living in that same little apartment. But I also know for addicts change can be difficult, so maybe that's why. But
Oh God, changing a um, addiction behavior. Yeah, no, it's not just bam
you know,
overnight. There's the heartbreak and pain and suffering and withdrawals and all of that that goes along with it. I don't care what your addiction is,
yeah.
but yeah, it doesn't just happen overnight like that. Um,
But I also feel like,
it was definitely a very New Moon kind of feel where it's like
yeah,
you're reading New Moon and then December,
right,
January,
right,
February, March, April, May, June, July, and yeah, it's like 20 pages long of just 1 month printed on a page, and it's like
yeah,
mm, 8 years later, and Danny's well recovered, and picking up chips left and right from AA and all
right.
of that. It's like I wish recovery was that easy.
I do think there were more important things to cover in the story, and that's
Oh,
probably why
absolutely,
they
one
did
hundred
that.
percent.
Plus, unless you're really watching a movie where it's about an alcoholic and their struggles, nobody wants to see 20 minutes of 20, 30 minutes of just that. Like, I think you would lose the audience a little bit because that's not what they're there to watch. If you know that's what you're there to watch, then it's different. But you know, you're there for the true knot and the drama and the horror and all that. That also makes
Yeah,
me wonder how many more of them are out there, and do you think they'd come after Abra if they could find her? That's interesting.
supposedly there was supposed to be a sequel to Doctor Sleep 2.
Oh, damn it.
Not obviously written by King, because King didn't write a Doctor Sleep 2, but the plan evidently was, depending upon the success of the original, was that Flanagan was supposed to get to direct a Doctor Sleep 2. So I'm assuming there's more True Knot out there, and they would have come after
Yeah.
Abra.
I mean, Rose
So
says that. We're not the only ones. So you
yeah,
know that there's more.
yeah, no, and evidently,
Dang
what
it.
did the sequel in? Your shit's freezing left and right like there's no
I
tomorrow.
know. I know. This is
Evidently,
bullshit.
72.4 million dollars is not enough to make Warner Brothers greenlight a sequel.
Or maybe
So
Stephen King didn't want it.
that very well could be too. I know he's very vocal at times, where not even just with The Shining, but like legitimately, he sued the studio to get his name taken off of the Pet Cemetery 2 sequel,
Yeah.
because initially that Mary Lambert sequel was supposed to be Stephen King's Pet Cemetery 2,
And
and
he
he's
was
like,
like, nope.
"Oh no, oh no, don't attach my name to that hot garbage." And on top of it, technically, it's not Stephen King's Pet Cemetery 2. He didn't write a Pet Cemetery 2,
Right. Right.
so you know, don't. I can see the argument. Don't try and make your millions off of my name.
Right.
Just create a damn story, and if it's good, people will go to the movie theater and see it.
Yeah.
So, was there anything else you absolutely want to bring up before we get to
Um,
our review and rating?
I think the only other thing is I feel like it's something we kind of just have to quickly address because
Hmm.
this is one of the things I remember when the movie came out, people were kind of polarized by. Um, the scene with the scene in the bar with, the guy they got to play Jack, officially back then.
Hmm.
I mean, it's hard to find. You can't duplicate a Jack Nicholson, but I
Oh God,
actually
no.
thought that guy was pretty good. Um, and
Yeah.
I really, this was another thing where they incorporated something from the book that I liked when he was talking about, are you going to take your medicine? Because that was such a big deal in the book that wasn't in the Kubrick movie. So I liked that they incorporated that. And I like when he says, your mind is a blackboard and this is the eraser, and like gives him the drink.
Yeah.
That was kind of another no-win situation, and I know that people were divided on whether or not it was good, so I was just wondering. I thought it was good, but I know what you thought.
No, no, no. I 100%. I'm same opinion as you. It does suck because I feel like um, Mike was definitely 100% behind the eight ball when he got offered this job
Oh yeah.
and took it on, because of, and no offense to Mr. Kubrick and Mr. King, but there isn't a whole lot connecting book
Right.
and movie. So yeah, to be in Mike Flanagan's shoes and have to find a way to be in the middle of all of that, and knowing, obviously, that there's so many polarizing opinions between two great a great piece of cinema
Yeah.
and a great piece of literature that are supposed to be, linked together at the hip, but literally probably only have what, two or three links at the hip.
Yeah. I will say the actress they got to play Wendy did a really good job. I thought she did really, really well for what
I
they had to work with.
The casting choices they made for both the Jack and the Wendy characters, I felt like were good choices because it was people that, if you're just sitting back and just immersing yourself in the movie, it's like, okay, I could see that being Wendy.
Right.
I could
Right.
see that being Jack. If you're gonna sit there and be like, no, that's not Shelley Duvall. No, that's
Right.
not Jack Nicholson, then obviously, no, it doesn't work. I mean, you can't just recapture those images, but you know, it works, and it's not like it's something that it's AI generated or whatever.
Right.
So
And they kept the scene
definitely,
short enough that it was okay, you know?
yeah, it's like, again, if you add up the amount of time both of them are in the movie, it's probably even less time that they're in the movie than Jacob Tremblay was in the movie.
Right.
And Jacob Tremblay was only in the movie for, I think, 6 minutes. When I said earlier was a way overestimate because
Yeah.
it's literally,
Like
you
3
know,
minutes?
the baseball scene, the walk home, and then you get him out of the fucking van and
Yeah.
nope, not going back down that road. But yeah,
And I
so
mean, the Jack scene, I guess, they didn't have to include that, but the post Overlook stuff and also the couple flashbacks, we really needed that. And so I'm glad that they were able to incorporate what happens to Wendy and Danny after the Overlook because I feel like just fast forwarding to Danny being an adult doesn't do it justice. So they really
yeah,
had to include some of that. And I also was really happy that they included Halloran, even though in the Kubrick movie he died. So, another thing where it was like, do we do it or do we not do it? But
yeah. Well, and if you remember the beginning of the book, actually, there's a lot more, if I remember correctly, or was it in The Shining? I don't think. No, it wasn't in The Shining. Man, I don't know. There's a whole lot of backstory that you get. I believe it was Doctor Sleep about the
yeah.
his past and the developing the box to put the shine away in
Oh, yeah.
so that you can
And
control
I
it.
love when Rose is like, what secrets are in these boxes? And he's like, they're not secrets. They're demons and they're starving. That was
Yeah,
great.
they really are.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah. Okay. That was about it.
so overall, what was your thoughts of the movie? And go ahead and give us your amazing rating for this epic movie.
I mean, I am going to give this a generous rating both because I really liked it and because like I said, like I said at the beginning and we've talked about this was one of the most impossible tasks that I can think of in movie history, having to blend a book and a movie that are so different. Writing the book for King was easy because it was just his direct sequel, but for them to make this as a movie and to try to satisfy everyone and still make it a good story, I thought, you know, obviously nothing's perfect, but I almost don't see any way they could have done it better. Um and yeah, like I said, the imagery, the throwbacks to the Kubrick movie, the little throwbacks to the book that, it just there's so much intricate detail that they were able to balance it out. And so, I mean, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Magic hats.
So, literally, almost word for word, you.
Sorry.
Oh no, 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 no! Absolutely not. I mean, it. Very few sequels can be faithful to a source material, yet still capture the essence of a less than faithful adaptation,
Yeah.
uh, and still honor King's book as well.
Mhm.
Um, Flanagan does all three with Doctor Sleep. He really does, and my hats off eternally to him for that. To the same extent, now he has other King projects that are in the works that I hope come to fruition because, like, one of them, um, I think it got pulled off the table, but I believe he was tapped to adapt uh, Revival
Oh, okay.
as well. So, and then he also has he's looking and trying his ass off to do his get to do his interpretation of the Dark Tower series as well.
Hmm.
And after that movie with McConaughey and Idris Elba, no offense to either of the two of them, but that movie was not great by any stretch of the imagination, and it wasn't what the hardcore faithful wanted.
Yeah.
But I would really love to see, because I know for the most part how good he is at adapting King's work. I also know at the same time he's also the one behind the Stan miniseries reboot.
Yeah.
So not everything comes up roses for Mr. Flanagan, but
Yeah.
he,
But
he's got a decent track record. So at the same time,
can we
we'll go with
just get
that.
the long walk? Like, please, can we just get the long walk? They keep talking about it,
I
talking
agree.
about it, talking about it. Just fucking do it.
I 100% agree. But really quick before I get to the rating, though, I mean, Ewan McGregor was amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he was probably the perfect choice to play Danny.
Yeah.
Um, Kylie Curran as Abra, amazing. Rebecca Ferguson, mm, I cannot say enough about her A plus performance.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
She's
Jacob
fantastic.
Jacob freaking Tremblay,
Yeah.
A plus 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 plus. I that little kid stole this freaking movie, and he wasn't even in freaking 2% of the damn movie.
Yeah.
So definitely 100%. And I'm going to go with 237 soul sucking cult followers out of 5.
Nice.
So, yay! Stephen King birthday Bonanza 4 is here. We have kicked it off. We have discussed a great movie. Um, but we cannot leave without telling the hundreds. Thank you for being here each and every week. You guys are amazing. We're putting up great numbers every week that we're churning out new content. So thank you guys for showing up and delivering each and every week. You guys are fucking phenomenal. Um, do you have anything coming up on the SIP list that you would like to let the listeners know about?
Oh, I don't know. Keep trying to bring the show back, and stuff keeps happening. We were supposed to record last week, and I had to have an emergency root canal. And now with my surgery tomorrow, I don't know. So, for people that have stuck around and been waiting for new episodes, I appreciate you, and I hope it'll be back soon. There's just a lot happening in my personal life right now.
True. But we will keep trying. It is fun doing the SIP list, even if it has to just be a random from time to time, whatever. You know, I enjoy going on the SIP list, and
Yeah,
it's almost as fun as doing an evening at the movies. Just saying.
almost.
Missed it by that much. So, as we said earlier, though, coming up on an evening at the movies, we've got 2 live episodes coming up on Thursday and Friday with Harvey from Men of the Prize and Love is Black. We'll be talking about Christine and Firestarter. We've got Cat's Eye coming up later this month as well. And then we've got the Stand crossover episode with Literature Reapers, where we will have Shanna here to discuss the Stand. Um, and really quick, I do want to say that we will be kicking off Halloween Horror Fest in October with a very special episode where iconic authors Meg and Kelly, who have been here before and you all know and love, will be here, and we will be discussing their new book that comes out on September 10th, Travels of Terror. So definitely check that book or check that episode out as well. And It is available for pre-order wherever you get your books. So run out and buy all of that. As well, the I do have the results in my hand, really quick, for the what episode or what movie are we going to discuss in the Halloween Day episode of An Evening at the Movies. The top three vote getters
If it's not a
in no
Halloween movie, I riot. Continue.
the top three vote getters in no particular order: Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Final Destination. With 17% of the votes coming in third, which will make your fucking life happy.
Dracula.
Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope. It is not Dracula.
Elm Street?
Yep.
Wow, that doesn't make me happy. I love that movie.
I know you love that movie, but you're not getting a Halloween movie on Halloween, so
Well, none of these are Halloween movies, so I'm stuck with what I'm stuck with. I would
coming
rather
in
it be Final Destination or Nightmare 3, so
coming in second with 21%. Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, Wino Forever, Bram Stoker's Dracula,
nice.
and with 40% of the votes on Halloween, not necessarily on Halloween Live, but
Yeah,
will be releasing on Halloween, Final Destination.
nice.
So, not that freaking hot garbage log truck Final Destination either.
That's part 2.
That's part two. OG Final Destination.
I have to say I'd like to do the Final Destination because I know we talked about this, and actually I really want to try to schedule this for October to do a top 5 horror movie twists. That one is going to be on my list. It's one of my favorites. The end of that movie. I don't know if you remember it.
I don't right off the top of my head, but
Okay. It circles back to the first one.
oh,
The two main characters in the movie end up being on that plane that crashes in the
oh,
first one. I did not see that coming. I thought that was amazing because I guess it was like a prequel. But yeah.
oh.
Oh, that's a good fucking twist. So they cheated
Well,
death all those times and then they still died.
nice. So that's what we've got coming up over the next few weeks for everybody to look forward to. There's a whole lot of other stuff in the works, so you can stay tuned on social media and stay up to date as to what we've got coming up. This was fun. This was
Yeah.
great. Happy birthday in 3 weeks, Uncle Stevie.
Woo-woo.
And would you like to take us home, co-host?
I will. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode and we hope you all come back for an evening at the movies. Goodbye.
Deuces.